Thank you,
Now
sir.
I would like to invite Professor Omkar Prasad from University of Lucknow, Department of Physics. His topic is the role of QSAR in drug designing.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. And
Good afternoon, sir.
I am going to discuss the role of QSAR, quantitative structure activity relationship, in drug designing. Modern day drug designing is mostly done by this modeling. It is very important tool of modern drug designing. We all know that the conventional drug designing is very complex process. It takes too much time, too much energy, and cost and manpower also. For example, it takes around 18 to 20 years to make a drug, and around $2 billion are spent on making the drug. So it is very costly affair if we go by the traditional route. The reason behind the long time and the large resources that are spent is simply because of the drug design pathway, the traditional drug design pathway. We start with the identification of the disease, and then from the identification of disease, we identify the target by the biochemical test basis. And once the target is identified, then by the principle of complementarity, we identify the lead molecules. So it leads to the lead identification. And for the lead identification, we go to the compound libraries which are available on the net. So through high throughput screening, we screen the lead identification and get several molecules. And after the lead identification, we undertake a process which is known as ADMET. That is, it is regarding the absorption, distribution, metabolism, excretion, and toxicity factors that are very much required for the drug. So a molecule should have a very good ADMET factor. So for that, we have to perform the lead optimization. After the lead optimization is over, we go to the preclinical and clinical trials. And after the clinical trials, the results are sent to US FDA, US Food and Drug Administration, and it for its approval. And once it is approved, then it is launched in the market. So the time duration is quite large. It is around 15 to 18 years. So what happens in the traditional drug designing? The scientist has to start with large number of molecules in the lab, and we all know that synthesizing a single molecule is time taking. It may take 2, 3 or several days for even synthesizing a single molecule. So it is very time consuming process. And this lead optimization process minimizes the number of identified molecules, and it gets reduced to 250 molecules at the start of the preclinical trials. And out of these 250 molecules, only 5 reach at the clinical trials. That means those molecules, potential drug molecules, are now going to be tested on humans. And this is very time-taking and resource-intensive affair. And after trials at the different parts of the globe, so we get the result of the trials, and the results are sent to FDA for the approval and the launch of the medicine. So this is very tedious process. Now, because of the process, the traditional drug discovery and development is, as we have seen, that it is very complex, time consuming. It requires a lot of resources, and it also requires innovative approaches. Whereas the modern day drug designing method, which is simulation-based method, simulation-based drugs minimize the time and the cost needed in the drug designing process as compared to the traditional drug discovery method. In the modern day drug designing, we synthesize the molecules, small number of molecules, find the biological activity of those smaller number of compounds, molecules, and then we derive the rules to predict the biological activity of other molecules. Some of them may be the virtual molecules, which are not prepared in the lab. Let us first try to understand what is QSAR, quantitative structure activity relationship. Once we have got the set of molecules that are going to be the lead molecules, we calculate the various descriptors of all those small number of molecules. The descriptors could be geometric and the other physiochemical characteristic of the molecules. And we also conduct the biological test for the bioactivity of the molecular system. Then what we do, we build a mathematical relationship between the biological activity of the molecular systems that we have taken with the descriptors. And these molecules should be congeneric molecules. That means they should belong to a certain class. After building the QSAR model, we validate the model also. And after the proper validation, we use the model to predict the most active molecule from the set of given molecules. Now we are going to discuss why the QSAR, that is quantitative structure activity relationship, is so much important. Now here we have got a benzene molecule. This is very simple example, and there are 6 carbons, and suppose there are 10 substituent groups that I want to place at 4 different positions, X, Y, T, and Z. So we can calculate the probability, and this probability comes out to be 10 to the power 4. That means 10,000 molecules are there which could be thought of. According to the traditional drug designing, all those 10,000 molecules would have to be synthesized and their bioactivities to be checked on the large number of rats, mice. So this is very tedious process. So what is the solution? Here comes the beauty and the importance of QSAR. Thus, to overcome this tedious process, QSAR plays a very important role. We synthesize the small number of molecules and test their biological activity also. And with the help of suitable software, we analyze the data. We build the mathematical model, which is QSAR model. And from the model, we can predict new compounds with improved biological activities. So this is all about what I have been telling you. This is the picture. Here in the lab, we synthesize set of molecules belonging to a congeneric class. So what we do, we take the structure and the structural parameters of the few molecules, and we feed the biological activity of those compounds using the computer simulation softwares. We can come out with the QSAR model, a very good QSAR model. And what that QSAR model will do, it will predict new compounds with improved biological activity, and they may be now prepared in the lab. Now, a little bit about the historical perspective of QSAR. It started around 1868 when Crum, Brown, and Fraser formulated a suggestion that the physiological activity of the molecules depend on their constitution. In 1869, Richardson studied the narcotic effect on the primary alcohol and found that its activity is in proportion to the molecular weights. Around 1899, Mayer and Overton found the variation of potencies of narcotic drug, and they plotted it with log P. Ferguson formulated a concept linking the narcotic activity, log P, and thermodynamics. And the highly recognized scientist in the field of QSAR is Hansch. In 1964, Hansch with Fujita combined the hydrophobic constants, electronic constants to yield a linear Hansch equation. And likewise, the story unfolded. Now, since 1990, we are in the age of virtual screening, and we are doing 6D QSAR also. So this slide or the other slides that are upcoming slides, they give you the principal steps of QSAR modeling, what are required, what is done. This is the methodology for QSAR modeling. What we do first, we select a set of congeneric molecules which interact with the same receptor because we want a drug for a definite disease. So we know the receptor where the disease is located. So these drugs are known to interact with the same receptor and with their activity. So set is prepared, then we calculate the physicochemical descriptors using different softwares like Dragon, and ChemSoft, VLife, etc. There are other softwares also. We use generally Dragon. So here I said we make a model that links biological activity with the molecular descriptor. So the next question is, what are the molecular descriptors? Let us see. The molecular descriptors are very important quantities. They are the chemical characteristics of a molecule in numerical form used for QSAR studies. The molecular descriptors are the mathematical values that are going to describe the structure, and they help predict in activity and properties of the molecule. The molecular descriptors may be further divided into different classes. Two classical classes are experimentally observed molecular descriptors that are measured experimentally, like log P, aqueous solubility, Abraham's hydrogen bonding parameter, solvent parameter, NMR shift, etc. And there are other theoretically calculated molecular descriptors also, just like quantum chemical descriptors. And the properties of the molecules are derived from the Gaussian software, and if they are fed into the Dragon software, it also calculates large number of descriptors, around 1500 descriptors. This is all about how the descriptors are found and how the descriptors and biological activities are correlated. Suppose you have got the set of molecules. What you do for getting the three-dimensional structure, you carry out the XRD, X-ray diffraction. Okay, so you get the three-dimensional structure, and from the three-dimensional structure, you derive some of the parameters like electronic descriptor, steric descriptors, and sometimes the lipophilic descriptor is also described in terms of the 3D structure. So from the set of molecules, we obtain these descriptors: lipophilic descriptor, electronic descriptor, and steric descriptor. Partition coefficient, which is very important parameter. I will devote a few minutes for this descriptor. And dipole moment, homo-LUMO band gap, polarizability, quadrupole moment, they belong to the electronic descriptor, apart from the other descriptors also. And molecular weight, connectivity indices, molecular refractivity, they are the steric descriptor. Now, these are the theoretical things that we do. Side by side, what we do, we carry out the biological activity test, and we find the concentration which is inhibitory concentration. This particularly IC50, it is the concentration required for killing the 50% of the colony that you want to kill. So the activity, bioactivity is measured in terms of IC50, LD50, EC50, or simply say that in terms of concentration. Why this 1/C factor? Because a potent drug is able to show its effect at the very small concentration. So this 1/C becomes large. So we know the biological activity of the set of molecules, which is not too large, and we know the molecular descriptors. Partition coefficient is nothing but ratio of the potential drug molecule in organic phase like octanol to the aqueous phase like water. More about this partition coefficient. Drug partitions itself between the hydrophobic phase and the aqueous phase. If the partition function, that is P, is more than 1, it is more hydrophobic, that is, it is lipid loving. Hydrophobic means it hates water. And if it is less than 1, it is hydrophilic, it loves water. If the P is less than 1, it is a measure of how well the substance partitions between lipid and the water. Actually, lipid and water compartments, they mimic the cell environment. So hydrophobic drugs with high partition coefficients are preferentially distributed in hydrophobic compartment, such as lipid bilayers of the cells. Hydrophilic drugs with low partition coefficient are found in the hydrophilic compartment, such as blood serum. Actually, the anesthetic drugs are hydrophobic drugs because they are meant for giving anesthesia. So what happens? These drug molecules get absorbed in the lipid layer, and from there they affect the CNS, and the anesthetic action is carried out in this way. So the log p value for those drugs is around 2. So that was all about the importance of the partition coefficient, which is lipophilic descriptor. Now I come to another descriptor, which is electronic descriptor. The quantum chemical descriptors, apart from the other descriptors, they are electronic descriptors. For example, total electronic energy of the molecule, HOMO-LUMO energies, frontier orbital gap, that is gap between HOMO and LUMO, electron affinity, ionization potential, absolute electronegativity, and the electrophilicity index. They are all electronic descriptors. This HOMO and LUMO is the highest occupied molecular orbital, and LUMO is lowest unoccupied molecular orbital, and the energy difference between the two is an electronic descriptor also. Now the third descriptor, that is steric descriptor. The first steric parameter which was employed in the QSAR study was Taft steric parameter. This parameter is related or relates size and shape of the potential drug molecule coupled with the dimension of the binding site, and it is related with the activity of the molecule. There are other steric descriptors such as Charton's steric parameter, Verloop steric parameter, and molar reflectivity. And here is the list of the hybrid molecular descriptors. So this is WIM descriptor, this is atom center descriptor, walk and path counts, charge descriptors, and 2D autocorrelation, getaway descriptor. These are all hybrid molecular descriptors. This is a list of software and the web server for computing molecular descriptors. It includes PADEL, CDK, MODEL, AFGEN, and eDragon. Now, the remaining part of the QSAR modeling, we had collected a set of congeneric molecules. Okay, so we divide those molecules into two subgroups. One is the training set and the other one is the testing set. Training set should have at least 80% of the molecules, total molecules, and remaining 20% molecules are placed in the testing set. This training set molecules are used to build the QSAR activity, whereas the testing set molecules are used to validate the QSAR model. We make the model using the training set molecules, but we conduct the biological activity test for all the training set and testing set molecules. Then comes QSAR modeling. We have got biological activity with us. We have got descriptor calculated by different softwares, or they are experimentally measured also, some of them. So we have to build a model, QSAR model, that links the biological activity with the molecular descriptor. So the model, a good model, should be able to tell how the different descriptors affect the biological activity. So now we come to the QSAR model building part. There are M descriptors which are placed in a column here in this table, and this is the bioactivity of all the M columns. They are not shown here, few of them are shown here, and these columns D1, D2, Dn, they show the descriptors column. So this is the matrix that we get. So we build the QSAR, quantitative structure activity relationship model, by using multilinear regression technique. If there is just one molecular descriptor, then we use the linear regression technique, and if there are a large number of molecular descriptors available with us, what we do, we take 2 descriptors at a time and make the models. We take 3 descriptors at a time and make the model. We take likewise n descriptors and achieve the goal for building the QSAR model. QSAR model is nothing but an equation which is of the form of y is equal to C0 plus C1 D1 plus C2 D2 up to Cn Dn. These are the coefficients which carry the weight of the descriptors. And a better model, QSAR model, is that which has got very smaller standard error, and the R square parameter should be greater than 0.9. So the R square value determines whether the model that is formed is significant or not. Can it predict the biological activity or not of the remaining test set molecules? So now the model is built and the validation is awaiting. So we validate the best QSAR model. How do we choose the best QSAR model? We choose the best QSAR model on the basis of these two factors. The standard error should be smaller for the good model, as well as R square parameter should be more close to 1. So we validate the best QSAR model. We choose the very good models and then we work. So we validate and 3-4 models. We can also again apply these conditions, R square and error condition, to get the best model. And by comparing the result, predicted result and observed biological activity on the test molecules, as already told you that the molecules, congeneric molecules, are divided into test and the training set. So we have the data for biological activity of all the molecules. We have the biological activity data of the test set molecules. So what we do from the biological activity equation QSAR model, we predict the value of the biological activity of the test set molecules and compare it with the experimental. And if the model is good, then it should be able to match the result. And if the result is matched, so we say that the model that we have built is good. Even we can predict new compounds with improved biological activity. We can design virtual ligands. Ligands means all those potential drug molecules. They are also known as ligand. So we can in fact imagine a certain molecule having the same properties, and we can attach few other groups, and if we find it has got good biological activity, so we can propose that molecule as a good ligand. So we can predict new molecules which are not even synthesized in the lab. On the basis of good biological activity, we can synthesize them in the lab. And lastly, the prediction and the selection of the best ligands that I have discussed. Thus, using QSAR model, we can predict a compound with the highest biological activity. So that was the methodology up till now. So once the model is built, we need validation. There are two types of validation. One is the internal validation, the other one is external validation. What we do in the internal validation part, we stick to the training set. Suppose we have got 20 molecules, 4 of them are in the testing set and 16 of them are in the training set. And we build QSAR molecular model, and we can leave out one molecule from the 16 molecule and make the model, so that we can leave the first one. It is 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 16. So we can leave out the first one and make the model with the second up to 16. All those 15 molecules are used for making the model. And we make the model and we predict the bioactivity and compare it with the known bioactivity. So if it is good, then we continue with the second molecule, third molecule. In fact, we leave one molecule at a time. And here we leave 2, 3, 4 molecules. We leave many molecules and make the model. And after making the model, we check, validate the model for the left out molecules. This is the internal validation. Now we come to the external validation. What here? The test set molecules are used because we have made a good QSAR model. So we can predict the biological activity on the basis of the QSAR model of the remaining test set molecules. So the biological activity of the molecules in the test set, they are found using the QSAR model, and they are compared with the experimentally found values. And if your model that you have made is good, then calculated and the experimental should be close to each other. So that is all about external validation. This is the list of software useful for quantitative structure activity relationship modeling, SPSS, Excel Stat, MATLAB, VCC Lab, TLS, Comparative Molecular Field Analysis, COMFA, Comparative Molecular Similarity Index Analysis, COMSIA, etc. So now I come to the pros and cons of this QSAR modeling based drug designing. As far as the pros are concerned, merits are concerned, this for this QSAR modeling method, detailed mechanism is not required. It allows the fast and easy screening of large number of compounds. It can provide an answer to what kind of structures are needed for the further investigation. As we all know that nothing is perfect. If your technique has got some benefits, then it may have some demerits. So as far as the demerits are concerned, it gives less insight into the mechanism part, because we don't care about the mechanism for getting a good compound with increased activity. It relies more on mathematical model, and some experimental data is also required. So that is all about role of QSAR, that is quantitative structure activity relationship, in regard to the drug designing. I am thankful to all of you for your precious time.